Yugioh Anime Games. We're bringing you Jim Crocodile Cook's deck profile of his fossil deck. We are really happy that we got these cards printed. Konami gave us a lot of them, and it really let us build out a great Jim deck. So hopefully you got to see this deck in action against Tyranno Hasselberry. If not, you can check that video out here. But yeah, this is an exciting deck. It's really fun to play with. They definitely boosted a lot of the monsters in power level. But let's get right into it. Okay, so we're starting with a card he didn't play. 2 Giant Soldier of Stone. As much as we got a lot of Jim's cards, we also got 9 fusion monsters for him. We are a little short on enough cards to make a full 40-card deck for him, even by triplicating cards. There's a couple more monsters of his that hopefully we'll have printed. But to round out the deck, we included a couple Giant Soldier of Stone. You can see it on Miracle Rupture, and it's a rock that he can send to the graveyard. We've seen other duels play it in GX. It makes sense. Then 3 Flint Cragger. So this card's a little weaker, but it has a couple useful effects, and you'll see a theme with a lot of Jim's monsters that they have added usually like 1 effect, maybe 2, to a lot of his monsters. Konami does that to make the cards more playable in current Yu-Gi-Oh!, to make them better, to kind of bring them up to speed. And we do like that they make sure the deck can function, and it does let you pull off the strategies more consistently, which is what the characters in the anime did. That being said, it does sometimes really push the power level of the decks above a lot of other character decks, but Flint Cragger it's got like useful effects. They're not too strong. Then we have Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo. Whoa, this one's errata. Okay, so even though this was one of Jim's cards that we actually got printed like over 10 years ago, its effect to prevent special summoning and destroy all special summon monsters if it's flipped face up is a powerful effect, sure, but it's also nothing like the effect in the anime. Its anime effect doesn't have any of that in it. So we really wanted to make sure that in a case like this, where the discrepancy is huge between this printed card and the anime effect, that we got to play with the anime, you know? So just defense, and then gets defense equal monster destroys. So it's a cool effect that we're glad that we're incorporating in Jim's deck, instead of the effect that, you know, maybe you've seen in competitive play when this card saw use. 3 Gaia Plate the Earth Giant. So this card's pretty strong. You know, not that hard to get out in the deck. 2800 attack, and it halves the attack and defense of what it battles. Definitely powerful. Then we have Shell Knight. So they gave this one a useful effect to add a level 8 rock monster like Gaia Plate from your deck to your hand, or special summon it if you have Fossil Fusion in the graveyard. That's another theme you'll see, especially with the additions Konami made to these cards, as a lot of them get more powerful effects if you have Fossil Fusion in your graveyard. But yeah, we are so happy to have these monsters. I mean, look how cool this is. We have Shell Knight. We have Flint Cragger. You know, we have Weathering Soldier. We are really happy that we have these cards printed and that we're able to build a Jim deck. Naturally, we have to triplicate a lot of them, you know, because Jim only played so many cards, even though we have a lot printed and there's some that already existed. You know, we just got to do what we got to do. Weathering Soldier is a really useful effect when it's destroyed or sent to the grave by card effect, destroyed by ballot, or sent to the grave by card effect, to add a Fossil Fusion from your deck to your hand. Right? Powerful. Again, it makes the deck more consistent. You know, we could have errated more cards, but we don't want to have these decks just totally full of white stickers. We don't want to completely change, you know, a whole slew of cards. We try to save erratas for what we find really needs it. Speaking of needing errata, Fossil Fusion. Right, so this is Jim's big card. This is what your deck revolves around. This gets you out your fusion monsters. And Konami gave it a couple effects that make the deck a lot more powerful, in that you really can just keep getting to Fossil Fusion and keep summoning big fusion monsters. His fusions are strong, and they have additional effects too. So you can also see how the power level of the deck, it almost like snowballs. It almost builds on itself, right? They make all these individual cards stronger, and then because they work together, the whole deck is way stronger. So Fossil Fusion made a lot of sense to us, to rat it, to keep it simple like its anime effect. It's still a very powerful fusion card. making fusions from grave with even your opponent's monsters, I mean, that's already Miracle Fusion, but better. It doesn't need 2 extra effects. And by the way, guys, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so you get a notification every Friday when we drop a new video at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. Moving on, we have 2 Half Shot. So this is not a card Jim played. This is a 5Ds card, but Jim played a card that was worded slightly different. Like some of the words were mixed around, but it was the same thing. Like one of the more near identical substitutions we have done for a character. Then we have Miracle Rupture, which is like Foolish Burial for a level 4 or lower rock. And then if you have Fossil Fusion Graveyard, you draw a card. Mystical Space Typhoon, we add to some GX decks. Pot of Avarice. So, you know, we saw that Jim had this. You banish from Graveyard a lot with Fossil Fusion and stuff, but you do have ways to put monsters in Graveyard like Miracle Rupture. So this card is not the easiest to actually use in Jim's deck, but, you know, sometimes it works. We have 3 Specimen Inspection. God, we're really so happy they give us so many of Jim's cards. And then we have 3 Time Stream. This is pretty fun to like upgrade one of your fusions. And then for the traps, we have 3 Call of the Haunted, which is you got some powerful monsters to bring back. You can bring back the fusions. So the fusions in the anime could only be summoned with Fossil Fusion. The printed effects say they must first be special summoned with Fossil Fusion. So it does make Call of the Haunted more powerful in this deck. And 3 Socrates Armor is the last card in his main deck. This is really powerful. I mean, it's not as good as Mirror Force. There's characters running around with Mirror Force, but still really good. All right, so on to Jim's fusion deck. So we have Fossil Dragon Skull Gar, and then Fossil Dragon Skull Gios. So you'll see that there's kind of like 3 different types of fusions in Jim's deck. There's Fossil Dragons, there's Fossil Machines, and there's Fossil Warriors. In the anime, these cards were made with a rock monster in your graveyard, and then an opponent's monster that might have had to be a certain level, and it had to have a certain type. So like Fossil Dragon was made with a dinosaur. Fossil Machine was made with, you guessed it, a machine. The Fossil Warrior fusions were made with, you guessed it, a warrior. When Konami printed the cards, they made it more generic. You don't need a specific type to summon his fusions. We weren't going to errata all 9 of these fusions. That doesn't make sense. And it does mean our Jim deck can be matched up against other characters that don't have those types. And we really like that when we build our decks, when other people build our decks, they can play them in a variety of duels against a variety of characters. Skull Gar was made with a level 4 or lower from your opponent's grave. Fossil Dragon Skull Gios is made with a level 7 or higher. And then most of these fusions, like I said, probably have like an effect added. A lot of them get to attack multiple times. A lot of them get to have piercing. Fossil Machine Skull Buggy. So this one, we didn't actually see its effect in the anime. It was just used to ride them around Dimension World. There's Fossil Machine Skull Buggy, Fossil Machine Skull Convoy, and Fossil Machine Skull Wagon. And you'll also see sometimes there's similar effects, like the Fossil Machines. One will let you attack multiple times, one will let you attack 3 times, right? Or like all the Fossil Machines will have piercing, right? All those types of things. And then we have Fossil Warrior Skull Bone, Fossil Warrior Skull King, and Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. So again, these cards have some additional effects, like Skull Knight lets you banish from your graveyard to destroy a monster in opponent's field. That's really powerful. So, you know, we do understand this deck is more powerful than some of our other character decks because it plays a lot of modern cards, but we really didn't want to really kind of tear it apart with too many erratas. And, you know, these are awesome cards. We're happy to have them. We're happy that the deck plays really well. But yeah, that's Jim Crocodile Cook's, I think, 8-card fusion deck and his 40-card main deck.
We really hope you guys enjoyed that content.
We've recreated over 100 character decks and have a ton of duels of them on our channel. So make sure you go and watch those.
And don't forget, always drop a comment and hit that notification bell so you know when new content comes out.